Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Bitcoin Made Simple podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusik. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about Michael Saylor, everyone's favorite Giga Chad. Has he lost the plot? I kind of think he has. And don't get up in your arms and get all upset. And um, it is what it is. It's true. We'll get into it. But before we do that, I want to get into how you should get your coins off an exchange. Go to bitbox.swiss/Bitcoin made simple. Use promo code Bitcoin made simple to get 5% off. And I kind of spoke about this last episode or maybe a couple before that. The sanctity of self custody. You guys need to get on it. Because it's okay to admit not everyone is fully custodying their Bitcoin. That's part of the problem. So we need to be better as Bitcoiners. So be a better Bitcoiner and go ahead, get your coins off the exchange. Promo code Bitcoin made simple. It's the simplest, easiest to use. It's like the size of a thumb drive and it's touchscreen. It's great. So you'll like it, you'll use it, you'll enjoy it, and give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from you guys. Any of you that have bought one, what you think of it. And then also, I want to thank the sponsor, Barefoot Mining. Barefoot Mining has made it their mission to grow and secure the Bitcoin mining network by bringing a diverse set of operations to life. Barefoot Mining is always looking for more energy and like-minded investors for new projects. Barefoot Mining continually seeks partnerships across a variety of energy sources, including but not limited to hydroelectric, stranded gas, flared gas, bioenergy, solar, geothermal, and wind. You can find us at www.barefootmining.com or at Barefoot Mining on X. And with that being said, someone who was formerly a Giga Chad, that would be Mr. Elon Musk, calling it X. I have to admit, I still call it Twitter a lot, but when somebody calls it X, I don't cringe anymore. And I go with it. And X is still a good spot for some Bitcoin discourse. But I think what I'm doing slowly, I'll still talk about Bitcoin on there. But Nostr seems to be the new, Nostr to me feels like what X felt like whenever Bitcoin was a pre-2021 bull run. So yeah, it feels better to me for Bitcoin talk. Anyways, so here's what I'm gonna say. Apparently, Michael Saylor, everyone's favorite Giga Chad, he was on a podcast. He was on Saifedean's podcast, I believe, and he was making the argument that you should put your Bitcoin somewhere where it can earn a 5% yield. Really? Like, how many times have we gone through this, folks? Has Michael Saylor not paid attention to stuff that's happened? I mean, how's that even a remotely good, responsible decision? Remotely good advice. And I'll admit, I kind of like. I like when Michael Saylor was going on Preston's show and giving kind of a master class on it was more like an economics understanding. Like I think he definitely understands the devaluing of the dollar, certainly. But and I guess this is going to happen as Bitcoin evolves, but wasn't Bitcoin's purpose to kind of get away from having dependency on others? And so to me, that is where people like Saylor will struggle in the transition because they are so used to the old system. They're so used to the way things are done currently that they expect things to be done that way going forward. And that's not necessarily the case. Things will change. Um, things have to change. It's going to get better. Um, but it's not going to be the old system of park your money somewhere, FDI, FDIC insurance, all that, blah, 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 all that bull crap. All that stuff, it's about taking responsibility. If you want, think about it this way, people that are into Bitcoin are like, take the power away from the banks and central banking, all that kind of stuff. To quote Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's incredibly true. So if you want to take the power of the money away from the central banks, you've got to take away the you've got to take on the responsibility. And putting your Bitcoin somewhere so that it can earn 5% yield is not taking the responsibility. That is trying to be a Bitcoiner, but still participating in the old system. Which I can't blame him. I guess for somebody from I almost said Michael Scott. Jeez. From Michael Saylor's perspective, is benefited from this old system. So, why go away from it? Bitcoin's cool. I liked a lot of things that Saylor had to say, but I was never one to like fanboy over him. Like a lot of people when Bitcoin did, Giga Chad, all that kind of stuff. I was more skeptical. And I'll tell you when that moment really started. I forget what podcast he was on. He was on somewhere, and his comment was he was talking to a bunch of billionaires about what to do, about Bitcoin. And he said something like, and this was, see, I think he announced his initial purchase towards the end of summer 2020, if I remember correctly, for MicroStrategy. And then, but like, before that, never even heard of him. Didn't even know who he was. And as I suspect a lot of people did not as well. It was like spring. So the price back then was probably $10,000, $9,000 a Bitcoin, something like that. And then in the spring of 2021, so he gets everybody's favorite Giga Chad, and he's going on every podcast and all that kind of stuff. He was going to have a 100K party on his yacht at the Bitcoin conference in 2021. And what did we get? 2024, we're still not at 100K. But anyways, I remember him being on a podcast that was about the BitBox02 hardware wallet. No, I'm just kidding. But you should get the BitBox. I always got to remind you guys midway and catch your attention, catch you when you're off. He was on a podcast and he said he was talking to these, billionaires about Bitcoin. And he just said something like, I told them, you want them, the easiest way to make $1 billion is to just, buy some Bitcoin and then sit back and wait. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, people were like, look, he's orange pilling the billionaires. Wah. And I was like, nah, no. That doesn't sound right. That is not correct. It's not the correct thinking. Because he's looking at it, maybe, he's trying to teach someone. So maybe he's teaching them through the USD, the US dollar perspective. But if you're really into this, beyond the in it for the money and number go up, if you've gotten to my point where Bitcoin has broken you down to just wanting to see it succeed as it was originally intended, which is a good thing. Um, so I say broken down, just tongue in cheek, kind of laughing. Um, but to say that to people you're trying, that would be the equivalent of, I mean, just talking to your family. Say you're talking to your parents and, they want to retire soon and they need, I don't know, let's just say they need another 100K in their pension or whatever, or saved up in order to feel comfortable retiring. And that'd be like you just saying to them, like, the easiest way to do that is just to buy a bunch of Bitcoin and sit back and wait. But would you do that? Would you tell your parents that? Would you tell anybody that? No, like if you're thinking about Bitcoin properly, you're not orange pilling people that way. That's a very, very, dangerous thing to do. That's why I never give financial advice. It's not financial advice. Um, you know, I mean, I remember Preston said this at the Bitcoin conference and it was great. It was right on the money. It's kind of the same sentiment, but he was kind of throwing it out there of like, it felt like to me, like Preston was just saying like, look, I'm not getting into any price forecasting or whatever, but based on the current markets, this was a couple years ago, everything was tumultuous, and he was like, somebody said, do you have any financial advice? And he kind of said, jokingly, but also seriously, he said, my only financial advice is just buy Bitcoin and fall asleep for 5 years. Um, and, so people could say, well, that's what Saylor was saying. But I mean, it's just, so anyways, pulling back from there, that moment whenever he said, just buy Bitcoin and sit and you'll make easiest way to make $1 billion. I was like, dude, I don't know if you understand Bitcoin the way everybody perceives that you do. Um, so that bothered me. And, uh, I just, I, I've never ever since then, I've looked everything about Michael Saylor that he says about Bitcoin through a filter or a lens that, I'm like, this could be a billionaire just hopping on the Bitcoin train trying to make more money and not completely understanding the true original vision and intentions of Bitcoin. So, um, it comes as no surprise. I mean, people were surprised, like, "Oh my god, I can't believe Saylor said on Saifedean's podcast that you should you know, try to earn 5% yield on your Bitcoin." Um, I'm not, but I'm 3 plus years of looking through this lens. So, I was kinda surprised that people were surprised, but I guess I shouldn't have been. Um, so I'm not just, like, here to crap all over Michael Saylor. Everybody has their own views, everybody has their own, intentions, everybody has their own goals, their own mission, it's fine. It's capitalism. Um, but it just as you, dear pleb, fellow Bitcoiner out there, as you wade through these waters of understanding Bitcoin, just keep in mind that you shouldn't just take people's word as gospel. Do your own research feels like it's an overused term, but it's not. Um, you really need to do your own research because had I done proper amount of research, I would have definitely been much more skeptical that we were going to blow past $100,000 of Bitcoin in 2021. Um, to me, it was a foregone conclusion. I was like, yeah, I mean, this is obviously going to just explode. Um, but I don't even know if it'll do it this year, next year. I don't know. I mean, I still think it's insane that Bitcoin isn't $400,000 right now, but that would be under the assumption that more people understood the true value proposition of Bitcoin, and they don't, and they won't, at least for a long time. So, you know, in my perspective, that's not financial advice, but I've been saying for years now that Bitcoin is worth $10 million a coin. Going back to off of Hal Finney's, you know, taking the whole world wealth, dividing it by 21 million back in 2009, it's about $10 million. So Bitcoin is worth $10 million in purchasing power circa 2009. So one Bitcoin should be worth what? And let's look inflation from 2009 to 2024. Da, 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 da. Good luck trying to find the answer on okay, I have one random number. Let's just say it's 46% inflation. Um let's be 36. I see that number floating around there on a couple different places. So $10 million per Bitcoin times 1.36 equals 13. I could have done that math in my head if I was not an idiot. $13 million. That's what Bitcoin should be worth. Does that mean it'll be worth that in your lifetime? No. So plan accordingly. If you're trying to take away the power of the monetary system, good luck. It's going to take a lot more than just, number go up. And with the number going up means there's going to be the quicker it happens, the more devastation there will be around it. So be careful what you wish for, because in 2020, 21, I probably was like, yeah, just let it rip up to $1 million. Uh, I don't know if we'd be living in the world we live in right now if that happened. Um, so yeah, I think maybe Sailors lost the plot, or maybe he never had it. Something to think about. Another thing to think about would be to get your BitBox O2 hardware wallet, and I will talk to you guys next week.